Hello and welcome to another book review. This one is kind of twofold. We have A Little Beside You by Jenny Sauer and the sequel, Unwritten in the Stars. So, A Little Beside You, I have previously read, and I reread it in order to reacquaint myself with the story before getting into the sequel. Now, these are cozy mafia romances in the Thugs and Kisses series, which is a spin-off of the Ever Galaxy series, also by Jenny, and they are fairy tale retellings set in the Ever Galaxy, soft sci-fi fairy tale retellings, basically. The main series, Rook de Goo and Kling Klang Gloria, and eventually book 3, they're more on the sci-fi side. We visit the other planets, there's a spaceship, whatever, what have you. But these books are set on the planet of Leoza, kind of away from like the interstellar war that's also going on in the background. But we get cameos of the characters from the main trilogy in this series. I would say you could read this first. There'll be a couple things that would kind of be spoiled, very minor things, but I'd say I'd probably. One second, please hold. I'd say at the very least you should read this one before you read A Little Beside You. This is Yesterday or Long Ago. It is also a spin-off of the Ever Galaxy while also not being part of the Thugs and Kisses series. It's kind of like a bridge book, if you will. But basically there's a romance in this book that is mentioned in A Little Beside You. So if you don't want to be spoiled for how that turns out, I would read this one first. Now that that's out of the way, A Little Beside You is a Rose Red and Snow White retelling. Snow Rose and the Bear from like the original fairy tale. Basically, you get Bender Cole, who is an enforcer for the gang, the Bears, and Corey Casmer, who is the daughter of a doctor who used to help the gangs. He never asked questions about who he was healing. He just healed basically everybody. And so him and her mother sadly passed away in a car accident, but he left behind this legacy that kind of protects his daughters from the gang. So you have Corey, she's a POV character, and Bender is a POV character. Another important character is Corey's little sister Meg. And basically, Corey and Bender kind of cross paths, and the story goes on from there of kind of like the two worlds colliding and Bender getting in his head about like what does his future look like? Can he have a future with somebody like Corey? Would Corey even want him? Yada yada, so on and so forth. I won't spoil it, but it's a very wholesome book despite the gang aspect. Again, cozy mafia romance. So it's not very violent. There are like violent things that happen, but it's very much like, I don't know. It's really hard to describe it, but it's really good. It's high stakes but low stakes at the same time, and Corey and Bender have my whole heart, like completely. And I relate to Corey on a very deep level, like the sisterhood in this book between Corey and her younger sister Meg. I also have a younger sister named Meg. So I just found their relationship very beautiful and so well done, and not something that you see a lot in books is a good relationship between siblings at all, let alone an eldest sister and her younger sister. But it was really well done, and I definitely recommend this book if you like romance of any kind, really. And then I read Unwritten in the Stars, which is the sequel, but it follows a different couple. So you meet Aniston and Aldine in A Little Beside You, but this tells their story after the events of the first book. And it's a bit bigger, and I wasn't sure how I was going to like this book or if I was going to like this book, because A Little Beside You, like, left very, very big shoes to fill. Like, that's one of my favorite indie books of all time, which is a big title. And Aldine, again, is in book one, and I was like, this guy is just a little sniveling shit, you know? But once we got inside his head, I was like, damn, I guess I misjudged him or whatever. And he slowly wormed his way into my heart, and I I liked him before I liked Aniston. It took most of this book for me to like Aniston, but she's a very, well, all the characters are unique, but she's very different from me, and I hadn't really read something with her kind of perspective before, which I did like. Um, Basically, the premise of this one is that Aldine is the gang leader's son. Aniston took a hit out on him, and it failed, and now basically her life is in severe danger, but Aldine is also severely in love with her, so he, like, quote unquote kidnaps her, takes her to his house in the jungle to, like, keep her safe, but he doesn't really have a long-term plan for how that's going to pan out. And also Aniston doesn't want anything to do with him. And yeah, so the story goes from there, and it is really a beautiful, heart-wrenching tale. I honestly can't remember if I cried, but I came close several times. I was very stressed out near the end of this book. There were so many times where I was, like, texting Jenny on Instagram, and I was like, I swear to God, if something happens to these two, I will lose it. And it also, like, one of the other great things about Jenny's books is that she has amazing mental health rep and talks about very heavy topics in digestible, comfortable ways. There's really no other way to describe it, but Aldine has severe depression, and there are mentions of the darker side of depression in this book, so definitely, like, is there trigger warnings in this? Yeah, she does have an author's note about some of the darker aspects. So anyway, definitely check that out, or contact Jenny, or, you know, DM me and I'll tell you what to look out for in this book. I don't want to say it on the video in case it, like, you know, cancels me or something. You can't be too careful anymore in this day and age, but there are darker topics of the depression, but she touches on them in such, I thought, like, a respectful way, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then Aniston, I don't know what to call what she has going on, but she does a lot of disassociation, I guess you could say. And so it was very interesting to see those two and how they played upon each other, and just the forced proximity of this tiny cabin in the jungle. And then there's also aspects of family and what family means, and how you can love somebody and them not be good for you. It's just so much packed into such, like, I can't even, and I did not expect to like this book, but I absolutely loved it. It's 5 stars as well. And it came really close to beating A Little Beside You, I'm not gonna lie, but A Little Beside You held the title of the best book. And I can't wait for the next book in this series. She's going to be writing, I believe, as of the last she told us it was going to be 5 books. But knowing Jenny, it could grow at any point in time. But the next book is called All the Better, I believe. And I can't remember what it's the retelling of. I don't know if she said yet, so I won't say anything. I'm part of her street team as well. So I can't remember if she said what the retelling is for, but All the Better is the next one in the series. Oh, and this one is a Hades and Persephone retelling. And it's very subtle, like, the retelling parts of this are very subtle. It's more in, like, the themes and the symbols, but I really loved, like, the pieces of Hades and Persephone that we get in this. So, yeah. Definitely check these books out if you like this sort of thing.